This episode of the Off-Road Podcast is sponsored by Warren, Power Tank, and Medical Gear Outfitters. Off-Road
Off-Road
Podcast.
Podcast.
Go ahead.
Off-Road Podcast 327. Social Media Recoveries.
Tonight, Ben fires everyone. Aaron can't get to the office, and Coy goes basic. Welcome to the Off-Road Podcast, a podcast about everything off-road. We cover the news, review products, and interview people in the off-road industry. I'm your host, Ben. I'm here with my co-host, Coy, and welcome to the show. It's Coy's back again.
The Weekend Review is brought to you by Medical Gear Outfitters. What are you waiting for? Are you waiting to have a casualty on the trail? Check out medicalgearoutfitters.com to get straightened out. Medical Gear Outfitters has everything you need, whether you're going out for the day or traveling on a year-long expedition. Head over there to get off-road specific kits that meet all of your needs. And while you're there, make sure you use Off-Road Podcast for 10% off.
So tonight on the two bearded fat guys talking about off-road stuff, Coy, what's up, man?
Not much, man. I've had a good week, really. It's been a good week. I went to change out a CV shaft on my car this week, and the axle nut is so stuck. Like so stuck. I've never encountered this situation quite like this. I'm actually not sure what to do at this point.
So, do you have a breaker bar?
I do.
Have you tried breaker bar and the extendo with like the high lift jack handle?
I haven't done that yet, simply because I need another person to sit on the brake pedal while I do this. I've just been using an impact, so I just had the emergency brake and the transmission here. But once you start getting that breaker bar, that emergency brake's just not what it could be.
Definitely. Yeah, there was a one at work a couple weeks ago where they're like, Ben, we need your bigness over here. And literally it was the breaker bar plus an extension, and it was my full weight. And I sat there for a second, I bounced, and then it broke free. Like I had to give it a little a few ugga-duggas of, the original ugga-dugga.
Yeah, Brent Berger says torch. That's I don't actually have technically I have an acetylene torch, but I don't have an oxy or acetylene tank for said torch, so it turns out they're almost completely useless without those two pieces. I do have a propane torch that I'm thinking is going to go on there.
Yeah, propane would, but you're probably going to have to switch out your hub after that too. It's going to eat up a good chunk of that grease and stuff.
That's what I'm worried about. If I put the torch on it, then I got to change the hub, and it's like, if I got to change the hub, can't I just go ahead and just take the whole hub out with the CV shaft, basically, or just pop the hub and saw all the shaft off or something? I don't know.
Some weirdo here in the comments says that. Wow, that was interesting.
Wow, it says a lot of things.
Yeah.
Sorry about that, comments, people. Hopefully that's blocked.
No, I blocked that. I took care of that. So, so Aaron in the comments here says sometimes you gotta go tighter before it will break free.
Yeah, I've heard that before. I don't know how true that is. Just to be clear, though, I did try that just because I've heard that.
So, like it's really common, especially like if you have like the copper washers. Like for your oil pan and all that. Sometimes if you hit it with a hammer, it'll.
I know with like threaded pipe, that's a big thing where you turn it a little bit tighter and then loosen it. But I don't know if that's the deal with CV axle nuts. But
yeah,
so that's something I've been tinkering with, and probably going to end up just sawzalling the whole hub out of there and calling it a day and buying a new hub.
Oh,
but
that'd be brutal. That you'd probably go through a couple blades for that one.
No, well, I'm not there yet, but I'm getting there. We'll see. It's not quite an internet meme, but it's going to be close by the time I'm done, I think. And then Saturday, I had my annual pumpkin spice party. I went super basic, and it was awesome. It was amazing.
Yeah?
Ben was invited, but he was too busy. He was too busy to enjoy spice.
Dude, I didn't realize until it was too late how overbooked I was for this last weekend. My scouts, so I took over as leader for. Is that some milk?
This is pumpkin spice eggnog right here. Oh,
Oh my
it's so good.
goodness. Um, so I had I'm a scout leader. I am the leader. They put me in charge of all their children. I don't know how smart that is, but smart enough, I guess. And we had our fundraiser on Saturday, and I didn't put it on my calendar. So, yep, there I was. And as leader, supposed to be there.
What the? You
We've got
want to block some more stuff there? I'm sorry to the people in the comments. We're getting hacked or something there.
yeah.
That's interesting. I noticed Tim's not in the comments. So do you think Tim's doing that? That feels very Tim.
I think that's a little harsh for even Tim.
I I don't know.
Yeah. So yeah. Thankfully some of you aren't seeing these. So yeah. Yeah, it was a brutal weekend. I'm sorry I missed out on the party. I've got some stuff for you that I'll be giving you the next time I see you. You'll love it.
Well, it was super basic party, like right here. Like I may be basic, but this here is a pumpkin spice ho, and it does get more basic than that.
Did you visit Starbucks on Saturday too?
I didn't. I hit Starbucks the second those things came out, like a month and a half ago, like September 3rd or something.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, it's so I had that. It's been crazy busy at work. We've got the SEMA truck going on. It came back. We're wrapping up some stuff. But I've been so busy up front that I didn't even get to go work on it at all. And that's leaving tomorrow. I think they're heading down, getting ready to start heading down to Vegas. Unfortunately, I don't think I'll be going to SEMA this year, but it is what it is. It's busy. Outside of that, I did print a part from my Forerunner, a little
Oh,
change
really?
holder. Yeah, a little change holder for my um, what's it called? What's it called? The little buttons, like the Toyota buttons. So, some guy designed a little change holder thing. So yeah,
Interesting.
some some love here in the
Yeah,
comments.
it must be
Best
nice
thing.
to. Yeah, Eric Urs wants to know if I'm wearing legging and UGG boots right now. I've actually looked into UGG boots, and it turns out they're like $200. So I don't know what your guys' wives told you they paid for UGG boots, but I think it worked like your guns.
Yeah,
So
probably.
yeah, they're like crazy expensive. I was gonna buy them as a joke for the party a couple years ago, and then I was like, yeah, it's not that funny. It's not $200 funny.
No, you need to find like some knockoff Walmart ones.
Yeah, like Ross Dress for less.
Yeah, there you
But
go.
Burger said those comments must be because we didn't clear our search history. Hmm, I don't know. Hopefully not. We'll
Yeah,
see.
it's a pretty terrible search history. If so,
Yeah,
uh,
I don't think I searched anything like that. But
oh yeah, don't want to know about the purses.
Hey guys, we're looking to reach more listeners. We're going to start reading Apple iTunes reviews on air. If you hear yours, send us a message with your address, and we'll send you an Off-Road Podcast sticker. You can find all of our social media by just searching our name. Now, go hit that subscribe button.
We've also got Patriot Patch.
We also want to thank our sponsor, Patriot Patch. Head over to patriotpatch.co and check out their selection of great patches, shirts, cleaning mats, signs, and stickers. You can also join the Patch of the Month Club for $15 and receive a patch, matching sticker, and artist proof each month.
Did you see the patch that went with the Stay Puffed?
what was it? It was he had a GAT instead of dual wielding 1911s this time.
Yeah, and pull it
Stay strapped or something.
Yeah, he also had. I'm trying to pull it up here. There it is. the companion patch was also another Slimer patch eating the pizza. So yeah, another good one. I am always excited for those. I might be getting that Slimer one. Haven't decided yet. It's still available.
Slimer's always good.
Yep. Who doesn't love Slimer? And it's funny. It's like the movie. He wasn't in there all that long, but the cartoon series,
Yeah.
The news is brought to you by PowerTank, the ultimate mobile onboard air system for performance, versatility, and reliability. They are your source for all air-related accessories. Check them out at powertank.com.
So Toyota's doing something pretty awesome here for SEMA. What do you think, Koi?
I've been watching this. I shouldn't say watching it. I haven't seen the actual pictures of it yet, but I've been watching the reports come in on the Tacozilla.
Yeah.
If this render is actually what it kind of looks like and not typical of people rendering, then wow, they're gonna sell 100 of them if they actually.
Yeah, it's a good throwback. It really is. And it looks like you froze. So so it's being built by Toyota for SEMA. It's a TRD Sport with a manual transmission, capable of sleeping two in the extension above the cab. There's also a dining table, a small kitchen and toilet. Team manager Marty Short says in a video, we really didn't want it to look like a refrigerator on the back of a truck. Which, I mean, you look at the picture, it kind of does remind me of those what's it called, the meat guys, the guys that sell packages of meat. I can't, it's not Schwann's, but kind of like a Schwann's truck. Koi,
I'm back.
you're back. There we go. So yeah, kind of it's not Schwann's. What's the guys that sell like meat in the back of their trucks?
Yes, the I know what you're talking about. It's the Toyotas that come around and they're always trying to get you on like a meat subscription of
Yeah.
the
So,
freshest, most delicious stuff. It does look
oh yeah,
now that you say that, it does have a hint of that. But man,
yeah.
it looks good.
Yeah, the team manager said that he didn't really want it to look like a refrigerator on the back of the truck. Kind of does, kind of doesn't. It does remind me of the early Forerunners, kind of how they wanted that capability. They called it the Chinook, I think is what they called it. It
Yeah, the
minimizes
Chinook was the brand that made those.
there we go.
They made some that were called Blazers and the other ones were called it's escaping me right now. But yeah, Chinook, the camper model, made those first four prototype Forerunners or whatever.
Yeah, and Aaron's commenting here that they
Tracker,
don't see why
Toyota Tracker. Trekker. They were Trekkers is what they're called.
yeah. And I'm kind of surprised they didn't go with the four door. At least in this rendering, it looks like a access cab. I'm I don't even think they sell those anymore. But if they're prototyping it for that, so they could get a bigger bed, because I think the biggest bed you can get in a Tacoma right now is a 6'5". So if they
See,
wanted a little more space for footprint, that could be it. But
I can see them doing that, but also since the cab hangover part, the above the cab is where you sleep, you think they would almost want to put as much as they could up there and
yeah,
get that, huge bed up there. But yeah, I mean, I guess the whole kitchen bathroom area is going to be pretty important too.
and it's got retro orange and brown stripes, which kind of gives it, a good. I don't know. I'm glad it's not the red, yellow, black,
The
or
trophy truck look.
the trophy truck look. It's truly going for that retro look.
Yeah, it reminds me of the old two-wheel drive dually Toyotas that were camper vans. They always had that brown stripe down the side.
Yeah. Well, our next story here, if you want to read some of the points here, I'm gonna do a screen share on this one.
the Terra solar tonneau cover. Now this is a older. This actually got started about a year ago. It's not actually being produced yet. It's in development. It's a trifold tonneau cover that is solar panels,
So
and
it's
then
actually a quad fold.
oh, well, there's 4 panels, but I'm guessing they only fold to the
Yeah.
far forward one. But yeah, there's 4 separate panels. There's a large battery bank that goes along the side of the bed inside the truck. Each one of those, I think you can kind of stack them up to 3 or 4 separate battery packs, and then you can kind of rotate them and have them charging and stuff, or take it out and use it. It's
Yeah.
Yeah,
2
each battery
kilowatt.
bank can store 2 kilowatts power. Part of the pack is removable to provide 4,000 watts of power with 2 individual 2,000 watt outlets. Now, besides powering anything under the power rating, it has the possibility to extend the range of electric or hybrid trucks, and that was what I thought was so cool about it, honestly.
Yeah. No, I mean, with electric vehicles becoming more and more prevalent, it's cool because, like, they're saying, hey, this is going to be good for the Rivian, the Workhorse, the Atlas, the Bollinger, Tesla, Hercules, GM, and Ford. I don't know so much with the Tesla because the Tesla truck doesn't have much of a bed. But I mean, hey,
Mhm.
any little bit of a power source is better than nothing, right?
I think Tesla already said they have a solar bed cover that's gonna be available for it. I just think it's really cool. I mean, this is basically a jerry can for an electric truck in a way.
Yeah.
Uh, so obviously electric, these like the new Ford Lightning, this got a range of 300 some miles or something, which is probably more than a lot of overland built trucks. And obviously this thing that's stock, it's not built, but you can't just add gas to these. So this does kind of get you past a little bit of that range anxiety. And you kind
Yeah.
of always have that peace of mind that if I do run dead, I have an extra 40 miles, you know?
Yeah.
And
Well, and trying to think how many kilowatt battery, how much kilowatts, how large of a kilowatt system do the new Ford Lightning, like how big of a system is that, and how much is that 2 kilowatts going to add? Because I mean, that's a significant amount of power. I think a kilowatt is 1,000 watts, so 2,000 watts. That's a
yeah,
lot more than my little homemade homemade battery box. So
no, this is a significant chunk of power. And obviously it's really cool that you can just use it around camp, or you could probably use it if you're, construction worker, carpenter or something. You just pack this portable unit inside. Also,
or
the
like
solar panels,
fancy
if you're
power out.
yeah, or if power goes out, or for, emergencies. But also with those solar panels, if you have a hybrid or EV truck, if you just have it parked at camp for a couple days, you can actually return some power back into that truck while it's just sitting there instead of
Yeah.
just nothing happening. So I, I had never thought of something like this really for overlanding, but or for these EV trucks, but this is a great idea, and I think this is a really cool product, and I think it'll maybe not this one will catch on, but some version of this will catch on for the off-road EVs.
Yeah. And even outside of the EVs, even if you've got a regular truck, a Tundra, say you have a Tundra and you're overlanding and you want to have a decent amount of power, there you go. If you're not worried about a bed rack or any of that.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure, especially if you, have sleep apnea or something, you gotta have a CPAP machine or whatever, like, there are reasons for people to need a certain amount of power when they're camping, not just to glamp like me.
Yeah.
Uh, the
Not
downside of this,
blender.
they they haven't yeah, in case I wanna make, yeah, fresh ice cream or daiquiris or something. The downside of this, though, is they haven't really released a price for it, but they did say if you pre-order now, they'll knock $250 off. So I'm guessing this is, you know, gonna be like 4 grand or something. That is a wild ballpark guess, but it is not gonna be cheap.
I would say that's probably not far off, considering what a nice traditional trifold starts is about $800 for a nice one. Like I
That's
like the Lomax ones, and those are $900.
that's kind of what I was figuring. I was figuring, just a tonneau covers pushing $1,000, solar panels. I'm gonna go 1,500 there, and then just battery pack and all the rest of the accoutrement.
Yeah,
Like $4,000. It could be more, honestly.
yeah, yeah, and those are some really nice solar panels for whatever efficiency they're running on those. If they're saying that that's going to work, and it's got a built-in inverter in the system too, so
Yeah.
it's and they don't say I'm not seeing anything here that says anything about how many watts those solar panels are, because if those are 200-watt panels, 2 4 6 800 watts of solar power, that's going to charge up pretty decent. So
Looking
we'll
looking
see.
at the size of them, I wouldn't be surprised if they're 150, 200 watts though. I mean, they're
Yeah, no,
gonna be
I wouldn't
on
either.
the bed, but
I'm curious how they're wired up because of like how the sun's going to affect them. Some panels, like if you have it wired up certain ways, um, the efficiency of all the panels goes down, whereas if you have certain panels covered, it's not as bad on the efficiency. I don't know how they have it wired up, because just throwing some shade out there on, say, the one that's right underneath the window, you're not always going to have the sun behind you.
is that the way it's wired up, or is that the actual type of panel it is? Because I know some solar panels, if a leaf gets on it, it'll significantly take out a chunk of the panel's efficiency, whereas
Yeah,
then kind
I
of more expensive ones they'll just the piece that has a leaf on it won't charge,
if I remember correctly, it's both. There's a
Oh,
little bit
okay.
of both.
That makes sense, I guess.
So, but yeah, I know it's cool. This article is from back in October, but you shared it in our group, and it was like, yes, let's talk about this. This is cool. So, well, early October. What are we?
Yeah.
Oh no, last year, 2020. So yeah, we'll see. We'll see when if it comes out to the public. Who knows? Maybe it'll be at SEMA, and we'll hear more about it, because it's even now more prevalent, because there's even more vehicles that are going electric. So I think it's time for that main topic. What do you think?
Let's do it.
Go prepared with Warren Industries. They produced the first recreational winch in 1959 and lead the industry with their dedication to quality and reliability. When you dig yourself in deep, make sure you have the right tools to get yourself out. Get Warren equipped and go where others can't. Now, let's get ready for adventure and head into our main topic.
All right. Well, tonight, we had a different show planned, and the guest had to reschedule. So Coy came up with the idea of social media recoveries, and yes, we all need a break from social media to recover from that trauma. But this is actually, we're talking about people who go out and get stuck, and then they post on like a Facebook, like the Warren Group or the Organ Recovery. Wow, comments are fun. So like the Organ Recovery Network. So yeah, it's something else. So yeah. Um, so where should we start here, Coy? Should we? I'm posted on Facebook. I'm stuck up in Greenwater.
Well,
What's
just so people know, let's just say maybe some people aren't aware of actual off-road recovery groups on Facebook. So generally, you get stuck or something, you get on, like here in Oregon, there's a Oregon Off-Road Recovery. You get on Facebook, and usually you're panicked. You say, "I need help. I'm stuck. I'm in," and you say general location. Then people start commenting, trying to get down to that. People are reading in the comments. Um, Something that I suggest you don't do if you're commenting on these, when somebody is stuck and they need help, you saying, "I would totally help you, but I'm 7 hours away," or "I would totally help you, but my Bronco is broke down right now." That has no bearing on their situation, and you're really just clogging the comments, and probably just let that ride. Like, everybody wants to be a part of it, but there's really no reason to just add to the fire.
Yeah, no, and uh, one of the things I see that's kind of annoying is did you air down? Did you try using your floor mats? Yes, I get those questions, but I would assume most of the time that that person's probably tried that. Let's move on.
And that's also kind of for when the person finally gets a phone number out or a point of contact, the people coming to get them, that's kind of on them to say, okay, what all have you tried already? You know,
Yeah, what have you tried? And if you're posting these, post lots of pictures. A lot of the time I get these, I see these posts, and it's like one picture, and it's a truck, and it looks like it's just in a little ditch, and it's hardly in there. And in reality, the whole front end's hanging there, and the ass end's up in the air. And I have to like anchor myself to a tree to be able to winch them out. That was a guy that got stuck in a ditch this winter, or this last winter, and I went and winched him out. It was, it was a little more serious than what he had shared. It was like I would have probably preferred a second rig. And here's one from Aaron here. Read the comments and see if someone's already asked the question that you might want to ask.
that
Some others.
obviously, yes. I
So,
also, if you are on the asking end, you're making a post because you need help. Number one thing, we need your location, as specific as possible. Road numbers, GPS coordinates, if possible. The most specific, because even if you just get that one post out and then your battery dies, you lose service, whatever happens, at least someone somewhere has your location, which is the number one most important thing. Number
yeah,
two, if you can in that post, you're stuck. It sucks to just throw your phone number out on the internet. Don't be afraid to throw your phone number out on there and say text this number. You might get 25 texts or 100, but you'll get something.
yeah,
Obviously, if you have enough service, you can do private messages and stuff. And then as the person going to recover, obvious don't head out before you have a real location. I have seen so many of these where they say I'm at this such and so lake. Turns out there's three of those lakes. There's three Timothy lakes in your state, and somebody makes an hour trek because they're on the east side of Timothy Lake, but they are talking about a complete different lake.
yeah,
So get
yeah.
get that
G,
nailed down that location.
GPS coordinates, I'd say, is almost the one to go with and the most important one, because it can really help. Like for me, if I pull up your coordinates on the internet and I throw it into Gaia, I can lay out a route for myself. Okay, I'm gonna leave here. I'm meeting up with Coy and Aaron at the Safeway just outside Enumclaw, and then we're going there. That way I know who's going, what's going, and we have the exact route we're going in. And like say there's a windstorm, hey, I'm stuck behind trees. Well, what road is that tree on? We can't tell. And if you say Timothy Lake, it's very vague. We need all the details you can give.
More details the better for sure.
Yep.
Also, Once once you're heading out there, go ahead and throw it in the comments so that everybody else knows. I'm heading out, I have a winch, kind of just a basic of what you have. I'm on 35s, I have a winch and basic recovery gear. Maybe it's a situation where you're gonna need three winches, but at least somebody knows there's one going. Because there's nothing worse than heading out to one of these recoveries, pulling up as they're and you're, 3 or 4 miles away and everybody's leaving. Then you're like, "You had someone coming? I just drove 45 minutes to an hour and a half to get here, and you're out because they didn't let you know that somebody was, a half hour away, shot over there and yoinked them out." And
Yeah.
that's one of the most frustrating parts of these for me is I wanna know, as soon as I've talked to the person, I wanna know if anybody else is on their way. And if possible, when you find out somebody else is on their way, let me know and let me know how far out they are.
Yeah. And I always think if there's it's always best to go in a group. But there is also such thing as too many rigs. Um, and another big thing I'm a big fan of is have a group leader. that person is in charge of figuring out the most experienced person in the group. That way they're kind of helping dictate it, because if you've got too many chiefs trying to say what to do, it's just going to make a big tangled mess. And or you've got too many rigs down that road, that narrow tracked Forest Service road, where someone's hanging off the side of the cliff or someone's rolled over. And speaking of which, it rolled over. If it's like people are injured, that's kind of left the realm of your everyday averaged recovery group, and you need to be calling emergency services. Unfortunately, I mean, when life's at risk, that's when you need to bring in the professionals. Unfortunately,
Absolutely. There are things that you can see that you can't unsee that you'll remember for a very long time that, maybe you're prepared for that, maybe you're not, but there's no reason to get involved with certain situations that are life and limb when professionals are going to go or are already going even. A lot of these I see when there's an ongoing search effort already and they're just trying to drum up as many civilians as they can to look for their daughter, husband, whoever it is. They know they're out stuck somewhere. They have a basic area, and they're just like trying to rally troops. There's a search and rescue team that's already working on that, and it's not always the best idea to get as many civilians out there as possible. So tread lightly on those. Sometimes the sheriffs do want help, and sometimes the sheriffs will say they haven't been missing long enough. We can't just go look for somebody who's been gone 7 hours. Like they have to have some time in before we realize before we decide they're actually missing.
yeah. When
Be
it when it's
careful on that.
Yeah, when it's an active search and rescue thing, you generally just can't jump in and go help. Sometimes you can, but that's again, you have to refer to the professionals. They might be, hey, yes, feel free to drive down these forest roads, and if you see anyone, talk to them. Outside of that, they might not want you there because it's an active crime scene or an active search, and they've got bloodhounds and whatever else out there looking too. So
Yep.
sometimes more is not helpful.
They generally can't tell you to leave. It's a public road. Like you can go in there, but be careful that you're not hindering more than you're helping. Everybody wants to help, but you can get in the way. You're bombing down all these roads, checking ruts. Force Service, the search and rescue team may know exactly what tire that person ran and what size, and they're looking at tracks in the snow, hoping to find a, you know, certain tire tread going off that direction. And then you're just blowing all those away, which may not sound like a big deal, but it can actually narrow it down. I've
Yeah.
actually been on a search and we found a license plate imprint in the snow where a dude had smashed into the ditch. Somebody had called him in. He ended up getting out. We went and found that spot, and that was where the guy we were looking for was. And we could see his license plate in the snow,
Yep.
inverted, reversed, or whatever. So you'd be surprised how easy it is to destroy evidence.
Yeah. Kevin here in the comments says, when I comment on a recovery, I always say what I have, how far I am, and I'm ready if I'm ready, or need to make stops for fuel, etc. And that's a good point. The saying what you have for equipment. Hey, I have these straps. I have a kinetic rope. I have a winch. All right. Well, this is we're not going to need a kinetic wrap, but do bring it just in case. Some equipment might not be needed. But like if you're going out there with your bone stock Toyota 4Runner and you don't have a winch and you don't have front recovery points, are you really helping, or are you just the body in the way? You might be great for an anchor, but it's also determined, what is going to be helpful for that.
Absolutely, I agree with that. Another thing you need to think about when going on these recoveries, a lot of times these guys could be pretty seasoned. Generally, if they're super seasoned, they already have kind of their own sport team that they call before they get on one of these. But you're not always in that, you're not always within where you can get your buddies to come get you, or maybe they're busy, like Aaron, he can't be at his show tonight, and Jeremy as well. Like, so we can't always get like our closer friends to come get us. And maybe once in a while you do have to reach out to someone else, just random strangers on the internet. But a lot of these people aren't super experienced. They don't know how badly they're stuck, or maybe they're just barely stuck. So you can go there and easily pop them out, or maybe they're halfway down a ravine and you get there and you're like, you need licensed tow operators to do this, or we need a team of guys with winches. Don't be afraid to say, I'm not going to hook anything of mine to your car because your car's so teetering on this edge that I don't, it's a liability for me to do that. Don't be afraid to walk away from something. Just tell the people, I'll give you a ride back to town. We can try and get more people, but I'm not going to don't risk yourself for someone's
Yeah.
vehicle.
And if you're in the situation where you're stuck, sometimes if you're stuck and there is no one that can come out and get you, search and rescue can be deployed to help retrieve you, but they're not going to retrieve your vehicle. So I mean, there is that risk, especially when you're in an area where people like to strip down other people's stuff and steal it. But also, your life is more important than your vehicle. Its property can be replaced. Your life cannot. So do remember and take that into account if you're stuck and you're trying to decide whether or not you want to stay. Like when I got stuck in Greenwater, I made the decision to stay with my Forerunner. But I also had all the equipment I needed to stay multiple nights and be comfortable ish. Just couldn't sleep in that rooftop tent. Wrong angle.
Yeah. And the other thing to think about, kind of be in charge of your own situation. When you go out there and maybe the person is a pretty decent off-roader, they know what they're doing, or maybe they're completely green and they've got their Subaru off in a ditch and you're there to try and extricate them from that ditch. You know your equipment, or you should if you're offering these services. A lot of times people will have different ideas. You're there doing them a favor. So if they don't want to do it your way, you can try it their way, but if you're not comfortable with it, just say, this is what I'm comfortable with. We're going to do it the way I think's the right way, the safe way. A, a lot of these people can be so green, they don't, it's really scary to them. So you're actually got them in the seat of their vehicle. You're like, all right, give it a little gas, turn your wheel. You're trying to direct them and do all your stuff. So you really need to be confident, go slow, but do it the way you think you should, because you don't know that other person's experience. And a
Yeah.
lot of time they're in this situation, they may not have as much experience as they're leading you to believe, because they're maybe a little embarrassed or something.
Yeah, if you're in a group and no one's taking charge, but you feel experienced enough, feel free to take charge and be telling people, okay, you hook your winch on here, I'm gonna hook my line on here from this direction, and we're gonna pull here. And then take charge of the situation. I've been on those recoveries where we have someone taking charge and they're saying, hey, you do this, you do this. And if they don't agree with you and it's not safe, then you'd be like, okay, well, this is no longer safe. I don't feel safe doing this.
Yeah, don't be afraid to say, if you're not the one in charge, you're helping others and it feels unsafe. Don't be afraid to say it feels unsafe.
and
Like,
and voice why. You don't say, hey, this feels unsafe. Hey, this feels unsafe because. And if they can explain within a reason, no, it should be fine if they're more experienced than you. For instance, like dragging off of a wheel, some people aren't comfortable with that. You can Tow trucks do it all the time. They'll winch off of a wheel, um, but they have the right equipment to do it too. So you have to take into account the equipment, the knowledge, and the skill of what's being done.
that's another good point about the tools. A lot of these vehicles will be something without any recovery points. And the really only recovery point, and I hesitate to call it that, is the frame hooks in the actual unibody. Those work real well. I've been around those being used. I always say I'm going to buy a set. They come on like a giant key ring, and there's like 5 different kinds of hooks. And then you just hook your winch or whatever you're using to that ring, and they're different body hooks that go into different styles of unibody. They're really more of a tie down than they are something for pulling off of. But if you're careful, I mean, if that's all you have, you can't just hook it to somebody's plastic bumper and yank. We all know it'll happen. So
I'm trying to pull up a picture of those.
yeah, I believe they're called unibody hooks.
Yep.
Uh,
Bow clamp hook cluster.
I mean, you can literally get them from Harbor Freight. They're very simple and they're inexpensive. I have no real excuse why I don't carry a set. I've always said I'm going to, and I never do. But in the only situation where I needed some of those, actually, somebody with me had some, so we got pretty lucky.
Yeah. And do Aaron commented here about sit back if you need to. Sit back, take a breath, examine the situation. Actually, that's what you should do right off the bat. Sit back, look. Don't rush into a recovery. If you rush into it head first, you're really asking for trouble. There's a set of them. There's another one I got in here.
Yeah, that's a set of unibody hooks there.
Yeah.
There's 4 different style of hooks that actually go into the unibodies, and I mean they're tens of dollars. They're not expensive. I mean,
Yeah.
if they were
There's
over $50, my mind would be blown, and I would think you're getting ripped off.
and there's another one right there. And
Yeah.
again, you do have to remember these generally are like tie down points, so they're not the best or safest recovery points. There is a little bit of a liability with recovering someone else's vehicle, not as a professional. Generally, those situations, what I'll say is I'll be like, okay, I'm gonna pull my winch out, I'm gonna winch you in, but you are going to connect it. Here's where I would like you to connect it. Because then they've connected it. They made that connection. Um, it's almost like a form of consent.
I've heard of guys doing that. I usually just go for it, and I don't. I just hope I don't get sued. Another thing I've heard of guys doing, they'll pop out their phone and just be videoing it, and they'll just kind of they'll just be like, "Hey, I'm here to pull you out. Are you all good with that?" Or, I don't want anything to happen to your car, but if something does, it's not on me. They just kind of run through it real quick and just get a
Yep.
quick video of it, and
Yep.
then
And I've also seen guys that write out little contracts. I'm here to help you freely, and but I'm not liable for any damage.
yeah,
And if you're in a ditch or rolled over, there's already damage. Don't go blaming the guy that tried to help you. Um, I will say that if you're rolled over, do put on your e-brake afterwards so that when you roll back over, it does not go rolling down the hill into a worse situation. There's plenty of those videos with tow truck drivers. The e-brake never gets applied, or it's a failed e-brake, and then it flips over and then continues to roll.
yeah, yeah. That's always try to not make your situation work with bonehead moves. And like Aaron was saying, to put on a put a pot on to boil and take a breath. Another thing I always try to do. Sometimes these guys have been stuck 45 minutes. Sometimes they've literally been there a day and a half. Bring
Or
bring
more.
something hot for them to drink or cold for them to drink. Like, and they're worried about their vehicle. They just want it out. You get there first. They just want to get it out as fast as possible. Just kind of kick back, be like, "Here, man, have a Cliff Bar and a Mountain Dew." Like, just and then check their stuff out. Everybody, when they kind of calm down a little bit when they're eating. It's just kind of human nature. Go ahead and just throw them something to eat. Doesn't have to be much. But it almost always helps, especially if they've been sitting there for extended periods.
Yeah, if
And
they're anxious and
sometimes
in
they're
a
freezing,
rush.
let them sit in your truck and warm up for a little bit, sit in your truck and talk about it and what happened and how to get them out.
Yeah, yeah, and when people are anxious and in a rush, that's when mistakes happen. That's when accidents happen. Um, you don't want to go from one vehicle stuck to now two or more vehicles stuck. There was a case here in Washington where we had a Subaru that went down onto private property somehow and got stuck, and it took like 8 vehicles in 8 hours to literally pull this guy out. It was like a winching line to get this guy out. My buddy Brett was involved in that, and it was pretty big. And that's another thing. The location, private property. Know where you're going. If that property is private, you need to be getting permission to be recovering that person. Even if that person does not have permission to be there, you need to go get permission to be going there to get them out. You might have to get that from local law enforcement. It really depends upon where they're stuck. So know where you're going. Really know where you're going and
We
what
we
you're doing.
should have led with that one, honestly. Good Samaritan laws do not protect you from getting a trespassing ticket. Just because you're there to help someone doesn't mean you won't get a huge ticket. for off-roading on a trail that's closed. So
Yeah.
so ask them. Obviously, almost always they'll deny it, but we had actually a situation on one of my local groups. Exact thing happened. Dude was stuck in a field. He got like 6 guys out to help him. He just cut in some farmer's field. Farmer came out there and was like, "What are you guys doing? Why are you in my field?" And he was kind of mad at everybody. And I can't remember the story exactly. I believe the cops were called. Kind of everybody was there, and then the farmer kind of realized the whole story and realized that all these guys were just kind of helping one guy out and kind of backed off and kind of let it be a lesson learned thing. But it was close for all the guys there on the recovery getting big tickets.
Yeah. Now it's a really big deal to make sure you're legal where you are. Know what's going on. Proper Eric laid out a pretty decent thing here. Is that chain looks really robust. Know and have the right recovery equipment. Everything has braking strengths and all that. So if you go out there with ATV recovery gear, it's not going to be the safest or the right recovery gear for a vehicle. Um, Same goes with like kinetic ropes and all that. Um, have the right equipment and know what you're doing with it. Because if you go out there with the wrong equipment and it breaks, you could cause a lot more damage or risk someone's life. I've seen guys show up with chains, and I'm like, put that garbage away. I don't want to die.
Yeah, and
But there are
always
such thing
remember
as
the
proper chains.
safest piece of recovery gear is your shovel. It's often overlooked, but just get your shovel out, poke around each tire, like kind of clear your path. It'll take an extra 20 minutes and maybe a little sweat, but it always makes everything go so much smoother when you get that shovel out.
Yeah. And like toe chains, like there's weight ratings for chains just like ropes. Um and you need to know if for some reason you have one, maybe you've got something like a J chain. It's got a giant J hook on it, or two, and it's like a bridle. Those have a weight rating, 18,000 pounds, and it's a 3 foot long chain. So kind of know what you're using and making sure you're using the proper equipment. Because if you're not using the proper equipment, and something breaks because you grabbed grandpa's chain out of the garage, um, that could be really dangerous. Go with a worn winch. Just make it easy.
Yeah. No, go prepared, literally. I didn't go prepared once and it sucked. Uh and little known fact, I don't think I've told you or Aaron or any of the guys this story. How Al Gore invented the internet?
Yeah,
I actually invented off-road recovery pages on Facebook.
I don't believe you.
So literally, I first got my FJ Cruiser back in 2012. We were up snow wheeling in the mountains, and at some point he's like, "Man, it would just be so sweet if there's like a page you could get on and just be like, oh, I'm stuck. I need help. Here's where I'm at." And everybody's like, "Well, if you're stuck, you're not going to have phone service." And I was like, "Well, you could walk or something, but like, how many guys do you know that could?" And so I actually made a page, Willamette Valley Off Road Recovery. It had like 23 people on it for like 10 years, and then I just deleted it.
But I mean, it was the start of it. I mean, look at how many different pages there are. There's the Utah one, which went and helped save George. There's Washington, Oregon. There's a handful of California, Nevada ones. Um,
Yeah,
and
there's got
they're
to be at least one or two in every state, and there are some for just like small areas. Like I believe there's one just for like the Florence Dunes here in Oregon. Like there are specific ones as well.
yeah, and so feel free if you're on the social media. So feel free to look at those ones and be like, okay, I'm going to be in this area. I might want to join this page just in case, because sometimes you have to get access to that page. And then sometimes your post has to get accepted by an admin. So you could be waiting a really long time instead of just
Yeah,
going
yeah.
prepared for the situation. And it's
Waiting
not like you
3
can't
hours for your
leave
membership to
after.
be approved. Yeah, can suck when you're stuck.
Yeah. And Kevin just posted his body hooks are only rated for 2,800 pounds, but still better than the dumb screw-in hooks. So
And,
yeah.
2,800 pounds is not a lot, but if you're being real gentle with a winch and really watching it, like that 2,800 pounds is a lot, can pull 2,800
Yeah.
pounds is a
Oh,
lot to pull. So
that
you're not usually maxing your winch out every time you use it. So just be gentle and,
oh no, most of the time you're not. And literally it could only need 200, 300, 500 pounds to help pull the vehicle down to get enough traction to back out of there.
another little tip when you have these events, sometimes you'll have 15 guys there that show up and they're all standing there deciding how to winch it. There was one moment, it wasn't actually somebody called out. We were just messing around the woods and somebody was stuck. And there was the same thing, 15 guys. We're all staring at it and da da da. And I was like, actually, there's 15 of us. We can pick this thing up and move it wherever we want. And just like 8 guys just grabbed the back of this truck, picked it up, slid it up out of the ditch, and then we just pulled it the rest of the way out. But like when you have 10, 15 guys there, especially in the snow, you can move massive amounts of weight. Like, I mean, if you think everybody picks up 100 pounds, 15 guys just picked up 1,500 pounds. You all pick
Yeah.
up 200 pounds, now you're at 3,000. Like, and you don't have to get the thing 8 inches in the air. You just have to get it mostly up and you can slide it around. So when you start getting a lot of actual bodies there, may not be the safest way on a side hill or something, but you can totally rotate a vehicle very easily. If you need to get the back end up out of the ditch, man, 10 guys they can just move that like nothing.
Yeah. Yeah. And don't be afraid to point those things out. Hey, we got enough. We might be able to push this by hand. Kevin's pointing here. Don't use a static rope or a chain. Static rope's great for a winch line extension, but yeah, trying to pull someone out. Same with the chain. Um, Kinetic ropes or winches are kind of the way to go for the most part. I like using a bridle every now and then just to kind of help equalize the load of the direction I'm pulling from, depending upon the toe points. Like if you've got like the Toyota tie downs up front, I usually use both of those and 2 shackles to kind of link off of that. That way I'm not pulling on a single one of those. It's to help limit how much weight is on one of those. That way it doesn't rip it out because those aren't rated for much. They're tie downs.
Yeah.
Well, I think that covered it pretty well. Anything you can think to add?
I think we're good. Yeah, be courteous, be nice. Just because these people are stuck don't mean that you're better than them. So don't go there and make fun of them. Like, be encouraging. And I invented the internet.
Okay, Al Gore. Well, thanks to everyone who listens to us weekly and also watches us live on YouTube. Love the comments. Sometimes we've
Well,
had some
some of them.
interesting ones. Some of them we had some interesting ones tonight. We'll not go into detail on those because that'd probably get me banned. And we really appreciate you guys watching. Please share us with our friends. Help us grow. God bless America.
Don't forget to visit Patriot Patch and join the Patch of the Month Club. Check out our Gaia affiliate link for up to 40% off. Also, don't forget to head over to Warren and Power Tank to see all of their great gear. We are a proud part of the Firearms Radio Network. Got a question or comment? Send it to us through our webpage at firearmsradio.tv or through our social media channels by searching for Off-Road Podcast. Also, you can listen to us live at overlandradio.com, Mondays at 7 p.m. Pacific. When off-road, please remember to have fun, tread lightly, be safe and courteous, and thanks for listening.
Coy, you're basic.
I'm super basic.